Hui, it's louisity again, and for this video, I'm going to be doing a reading vlog of The Isle of the Lost by Melissa De La Cruz. Hooray! So, Melissa De La Cruz is a Filipino author based in the United States. She is known for writing Alex and Eliza, and if you folks have been reading since like the early 2010s, you probably know her Blue Blood series, which I haven't read yet. But I saw this book in a Big Bad Wolf book sale, and I felt like I've been kind of interested in reading it, so I decided to pick it up. You know, you never know when I get to, pick and have a copy and buy this series, so I decided to buy it back then. And finally, I am going to be able to read it since my TBR charm made me pick it. So, yep, I think this is a middle grade series or a preteen series. So, yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to have a good reading experience. So, let's begin. So, a reading update. I just finished the first 3 chapters of The Isle of the Lost, written by Melissa De La Cruz. And just so you know, I haven't seen any of the films of the Descendants movie. And I'm already in the scene where Evie and Mel kind of like bumped into each other. And I think there's going to be some chaos that's going to happen. And so far, when it comes to the world, I'm not sure if this is the world that I would love to live in. I mean, I don't see myself eating spoiled or rotten or filthy food, so we'll see how this story goes. So I just finished editing for another video, so watch out for that. It's gonna be a fun one. And I just read, the next 2 chapters of The Isle of the Lost. And so far we get to meet another character, from The Isle of the Lost, and we get to see the world of Oradon, and we get to see, the Beast from Beauty and the Beast. And, you kind of see some, traits that are like imperfect. I mean, we all know that the Beast, wasn't exactly the best person or the kindest person. But yeah, there's some interesting thoughts that are going on here, and I'm definitely looking forward to see more of it. So catch you folks later. So I just finished reading the first part. Now, why did I assume that it is the first part? Because when I flipped, the next page, I saw a quote from Cruella de Vil. So I'm assuming there's going to be another part, like some sort of I'm guessing it's going to focus on, another character from the story. And I believe that Cruella's child happens to be Carlos. So I think the next chapters are going to focus on him. I'm just assuming. Now, so far, here are the things that I've read. So we get to know, how vicious and wicked Mal can be, especially towards Evie, like holding grudges, with the whole situation at the party. And you get to see Carlos being kind of like the nice guy. And what I notice about Mel and Carlos is that they don't exactly, are like their parents. They don't really, I think they fall far from the tree, if that's the saying. Because they're not as villainous as, at least is how I read it so far. And also, there are some chapters here where it talks about Ben, who happens to be the son of, the King Beast from Beauty and the Beast. And you get to see even in Oradon, where it is it is heroic, majestic, and it seems bright, but there are a lot of concerns that were raised by, of course, the other characters, the so-called sidekicks from, the Disney stories So you get to really see them, and that's a wonderful thing about this book so far. They get to, remind me, refresh me, and it's great seeing all the other characters and other like Disney stories, Disney movies. So I'm definitely looking forward about what's going to happen in the next part. So I'll catch folks later. So here's another reading update. So I thought that the second part is going to be focused more on Carlos, where he was mentioned a lot in the chapters that I've read so far, but the other characters were also like mentioned. And what I can say so far is that they really are focused on, grooming them the way that they want to. And it's kind of interesting how you think about like what is, something wrong is like you lack being wrong or bad. So it's kind of like interesting, if you become more good or right, it's bad. It's like the opposite thing here in the Isle of the Lost. Well, it's the world of the villains, so yeah. But you get to also see how they're kind of gray. The characters, the way they think, they're kind of like gray and they're kind of different. And something that I just thought about, like with, of course, the story so far, what happened is that the villains were exiled and sent to the Isle of the Lost, and all the people are like the heroes and the sidekicks were left in Oradon. It's kind of like, come to think of it, like nations, like the people in Oradon share like a common philosophy of being great, while in the Isle of the Lost, they kind of have this sort of like common goal of being, ruthless, stealing and all the shizzles. Y'all know what I'm talking about. So yeah, and also since this is like the month of languages or Buwan ng Wika, it's kind of interesting because I'm wearing, and I believe this is Andres Bonifacio. Yep, I bought this a long time ago from Bench. Hashtag not sponsored. And also, National Heroes Day is coming up here in the Philippines, so I'm actually planning a video about that. So subscribe now to my channel to, find out, or probably it's going to be uploaded by the time that, I am uploading this video, this reading vlog. So, but still, subscribe. So, yeah, catch folks later. Okay, so just a little bit of a reading update now. Pretty much the gist of the chapters that I read, they were just like thinking about the dragon's eye and how they're gonna get it. Each like person has their own like agenda or thinking, so that's kind of like interesting. And also, yep, there are other ways to kind of like get it. They're like thinking of ways because of like what happened to Carlos's machine, but Carlos has to deal with some laundry. And to, other side notes, I'm kind of getting interested with Yoshiki song I'll Be Your Love. Nicole Scherzinger actually has like a version of the song, and I actually think she and Yoshiki like work together with the translation, and I really wish somebody like sings that out and that song becomes popular, because I don't think "I'll Be Your Love" by Nicole Scherzinger was ever released as a formal single. Although I remember listening to it 12 years ago and it was fantastic. It's so emotional, and if you're like in a mood for some melancholic songs, yeah, I suggest you listen to "I'll Be Your Love" by Nicole Scherzinger. So just look all over it. Just search it in YouTube or something. Catch folks later. So another reading update. So we get to meet Audrey. She's the daughter of Princess Aurora from Sleeping Beauty. And I'm not exactly liking the way she thinks. And what is interesting here, in terms of like Ben's thought process, it kind of deals with how, the idea of why humans tend to search for more, looking for some more fulfillment, actualization in the sense we're in. Ben said, like, there's got to be more out there. There's got to be more than what they can see, in Oregon. And it's kind of interesting how he like sympathizes with the people in the Isle of the Lost. So it's kind of a thing about, you know, you get to think about accountability and compassion, something that we need to think about here in life. And regarding our like people in the Isle of the Lost, so they were able to trespass in the Forbidden Library or Forbidden Hall. Oh my gosh, super bad with the terms. But anyway, I think you will know once you get to read it. So they were able to find a map, and let's see how successful are they going to be in finding the dragon's eye. And the pacing so far, it is quite slow. I think it's kind of like what I noticed is that it focuses more on introducing the situations the characters are in, their thought process, their philosophies, and all. And in terms of how the back synopsis said about looking for the dragon's eye, it hasn't really that like revved up yet. It hasn't like built up yet, and that's the thing about reading synopsis. So that's why I'll never really know until I get to read the book. So I'll keep you folks posted, and I'll catch folks later. So I just finished filming, y'all. You can see in the background that there are some books stacked. So watch out for that video. I believe that by the time that I upload this reading vlog, the video for this one, the one that I just shot, would be already uploaded. So as a reminder, subscribe to keep yourselves updated about my videos and continue watching them. Support, support, hoorah! So there's a part where Evie said, like, it's not exactly the words that were mentioned, but what I'm going to try to tell you is like the meaning or, the gist of it, I guess. It's like how things look different and beautiful from afar. It made me think about things that I see online or things that I see like figuratively, if that's what you would call it, or literally in a way, because they're not exactly near my place. When it's kind of like it made me think about the things that we see and we think they're so beautiful and they're so perfect, but since we are not there, it is a lot different. Like if you are there, you get to see the imperfections and the flaws of it. And it made me think, like, how, oh, because I'm not there and it's somewhere far, it's so awesome and I want to be there. But, when you get closer and when you get to experience it, I think I would have been better where I am. But yeah, those are just some thoughts from that quote. And I think that Ben, is going to be a good leader. He just needs to shape it up. And speaking of which, because what I noticed that Grumpy, one of the 7 dwarves, where, oops, there's another one, another car passing around. Okay. All right. So, and then going back to Grumpy, I kind of thought about like, what if, among the villains there's somebody who's named like Perky or Smiley? That would be a very interesting villainous character. So I'm going to catch you folks later. Whoa. So I think I read one of the longest chapters in the book, and it had something to do with them entering the castle, the dark castle. They were blocked by the gargoyles of Maleficent, and Mel showed some of her authority at some certain extent. And the fun part in this one is when Carlos was answering the riddles. I find it very fascinating, and in some of them, I was able to guess right away. Some of them I really had to read in order to find out. And now they're about to enter the castle on their way to the Dragon's Eye. And as for myself, I think I'm gonna get some popcorn and I'm, going to share it with my family. So catch you folks later. So another reading update, we see our characters Mel, Evie, Jay, and Carlos enter some sort of a maze. Now this reminded me a little bit of The Battle of the Labyrinth by Rick Riordan. It was fascinating to see the maze and the story again. And they had to solve some riddles again. Jay had to figure out something, as well as Evie. She had a little bit of a riddle or problem solving to do herself. And honestly, these were very tricky because, well, for Evie's, I really had no idea. And with Jay's, it was quite tricky. You folks gotta read the book yourself to see what I'm talking about. So I'll catch folks later, and hopefully they get to capture the Dragon's Eye. Since I'm almost done reading The Isle of the Lost by Melissa De La Cruz, it's time for me to pick my next read from this fate jar. Hoorah! So, without further ado, let me just shake it and let me pick it. I'm gonna try to look in the viewfinder. So I'm not seeing anything, so oops, I think I'm gonna pick this one. Let's see what it is. Oh! Okay, so the next book that I'm going to read is could you see that? Do you see that? The Promise by Daniel Steele. So it's A Promise by Daniel Steele. So I'm currently watching a book haul by Melanin Eclectic. I'll be linking her channel down below. And also the next chapter that I'm about to read, the title is The Girl with a Double Dragon Tattoo. It's similar to one of my favorite books, The Girl with a Dragon Tattoo. So I just finished reading The Isle of the Lost by Melissa De La Cruz, and I think I would need to think about how I feel about this book. I think I would need sleep. So when I wake up, I'm going to tell you my feedback and my synthesized thoughts. So watch out for it. So as mentioned, I already finished The Isle of the Lost by Melissa De La Cruz. Now, I'd like to begin about the things that I did not like or that did not bring a good reading experience for me. Okay, so the pacing. There are times wherein, like, some of the scenes, they would transition to like another voice or another perspective, and then you wouldn't know until you read, like, let's say, like an entire paragraph before you figure out it's a different person's voice already. I think it's the way that it was typed that needs to be improved. And what else? And I feel that this story focuses more on introducing like the characters, the situations that they're in, whereas I felt like in terms of their journey and getting the Dragon's Eye was a little there could be something more, you know? And the thing that I'm also wondering is about the whole double dragon tattoo that Mao has, and she never figured out what it was for, or I don't know if she ever dealt with it. I kind of find it weird that it suddenly just appeared, and it is very important in Mal's life, and how it wasn't discussed much. Not even wherein there was anything like if Mal ever asked Maleficent about it, what's its significance. It was never mentioned, at least from what I've read. I didn't see that, and it suddenly came, and it was so important, throughout the narrative, and that's to me is like, it's either like I wish like Mal knew it already, or it's like if let's say Mal never knew it because probably Maleficent never discussed it. At least there could be something like, okay, what's this dragon tattoo? And also with Ben, with the Ordhan scenes, I felt like they were just squeezed. I feel that they could have been written in the epilogue, um, and just, Ben's introduced all the way in the epilogue, because to me it just didn't make sense enough in the story that like Ben's or Oradon was like suddenly like inserted in between some of the chapters. It just wasn't. I don't know if it was the best. I don't know if it was going for like the whole series as like one thick book chunked and sliced into like four different books. So yeah. But you know what? Nevertheless, I really enjoyed. This is a very enjoyable book. Um, Even if, like I said, the world is not exactly what I want to live in, I think that it vividly created a picture. Either if you're into what the world is, the rotten food, the smelly stuff, the rubbish stuff, and the leftovers and all that, then maybe it would have like a feel for you, like it would have a nostalgic value, and maybe you would love it. Like for me, I wouldn't want to be in the world, but I think it was a very good description. It's like you can really see the narrative clearly and not like, okay, what the hell is this? Like what are you talking about? you know? So, and also it is indeed magical. It is a very magical story. Um Even if it is kind of like there could be more action or more, focus on towards about them getting the dragon's eye. I think that the scenes itself, they're good to consume. They're good to read. They will bring you pretty a likable reading experience. It can be better. It's a pretty good start. I think I would still be interested in reading the succeeding books, and I think it's easier for me to acquire them. Um, and hopefully, I would be able to get the second book in the series soon. So, I'm going to give this book 3.75 out of 5 stars. So I guess it's about it for this reading vlog. I hope you folks enjoyed it. And if you made it all the way at this point, put a cat emoji in your comments. And if you like this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up. Also, click that subscribe button and hit that little bell icon somewhere down there to keep yourselves posted about my videos. And I'll also be putting down the links and handles of my social media accounts, so feel free to check me out and follow me there as well. As always, thank you super much for watching. Let us continue seeking for wisdom and unleash the reader in you. Bye all.